Hello and welcome to Midlife Magic, a unique show for unique women. And as we come into the end of the year, I want to talk to you about the end of the year and the new year. New year, new you, maybe not true. I spent many, many years making New Year's resolutions and breaking them, as I'm sure all of you have. And so for today's show, what I want to share with you is how about a little less resolutions and a little more resolve? Let's make it an attempt to resolve more things within our life and within what we want from our life and how we go about it. And speaking of the how, letting go of the how and focusing on possibility, not probability. We spend our whole lives trying to figure out, put everything in little boxes, on little lines, checklists. And I'm the first to make my checklists. But I'm also learning that my checklists are changing a lot. Now, my checklist consists of more fun things and challenging and actionable. It's not how I'm going to get there. It's what I'm going to do to get to where I want to be. So I encourage you to be inspired and be inspiring. We always are looking for something to make our life and our surroundings a little bit more enjoyable, a little bit more fun, a little bit more joyful, peaceful, content. So I honestly think that if we went about our world, in our world, by inspiring and being inspired, then we would spread that far and wide. What an excitement that would be. Be creative. Write, draw, color, doodle, scribble, whatever it is, just do more of it. Something that takes you out of your day-to-day box. With the new year upon us and things that we can do is we can clutter clear. Clutter clearing is an amazing exercise. Doesn't have to be huge, doesn't have to be the whole house. It can be one drawer, it can be one closet. It could be one little box. It could be one shelf. Clutter clearing physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, electronically can really, really open up space for you to receive many, many great gifts. Photos are another space that take up a lot of clutter. Evidence. You know the evidence, all the courses you've taken and all the certificates you save and all of the things that just keep piling up and piling up and piling up. That's evidence clutter. And I encourage you, as the new year comes upon us, don't take on a project so massive it chokes you, but just do a little bit at a time. Leave room, clear clutter, leave room and leave space for spirit to do its work. And when you're not sure of what you should be doing, ask yourself, if you knew, if I knew, what would it be? Find your answers there. Another thing I'd love for you to do is I'd love for you to go back and back and back if you need to, it depends how far back you need to go, and find out and write down who is the you that you love. Who is that person that you really find interesting, entertaining, fun to be around? When people would describe you when you're at your best, what would they say? So if I was going to say, what do I love about me that maybe I don't let out very often, is I'm a little on the saucy side. And saucy is fun. And I'm loving, I'm generous, I'm energetic. I have a slight edge on when it comes to sarcasm, not in a mean way, usually in a fun way. And that can be fun. Figure out who it is that you really like to be around and bring out more of that. Show the world more of that. Come on my show and show us your spicy side. The next thing would be, what are your wins? What were your wins? What's your I'm proud of me list for 2022? Could be personal, could be professional, could be simple, could be complex. It might be big, it might be small. Try to come up with 50 I'm proud of me moments for 2022. It does sound easy, but when you start to push yourself to brag about yourself, it gets a little bit more difficult. It gets a little harder. So it might be something as simple as, I don't know, you cooked a regular nice dinner once a week for 6 months, or maybe you took on a new project. What do you have on your I'm proud of me list? You need to pat yourself on the back, because not always do other people see all the wonderful things you do. And then some say the past is best left in the past, and I'm sure in most cases it is. But if we don't kind of look at some of those things that happened or that affected us or derailed us or knocked us totally off our feet, landing us face down in the dirt, then we don't always see what we could have done differently or what we need to let go of. Is there someone or something that keeps dragging you down? It's like having a chain around your neck, pulling you the wrong way. Is there something that didn't work out the way you'd hoped that you can look at and pick it apart a bit and say, I could have done this a little bit differently, and the results would have been this differently. And then once you get rid of that mess, what worked that you want to keep on doing? What was those great things that really helped build that momentum, that enthusiasm, took you to the next step, kept you moving? What were those things? Again, big or small, fun or serious, could be rituals. It could have been the meal planning. And in my house, that's a big one. Like, what are we going to have for supper is like an everyday thing. Now I write down about 10 days worth. And if you change it out at the last minute, that's okay. But at least you had a plan. You're not driving yourself nuts. Maybe it's a pedicure. Does a pedicure make you feel so wonderful that it's worth it once a month, that you just look at your toes and you're just happy? Meditating, journaling, whatever it is, buying yourself flowers. What worked? Maybe it's a to-do list. Maybe it's chunking your time by hours so that you're an hour on this hour block is spent doing this and this hour block is spent doing this. Figure out what worked for you, what made you feel good about you, and then keep doing it, of course. And then what do you want new in your life? What changes? Which improvements? Do you need to cut some ties? Do you need to make some new friends? Do you need to find a new group? Do you need to expand your social community? Learn something new. Take up salsa. Take up a new craft. Take up wire jewelry making. Be creative. Find something. What's new? When we stop learning, we pretty much stop living. Not totally, but it really does make a big impact on our brains and on our hearts and on our physical well-being. And then, of course, there's the age-old word for the year, and I've totally forgotten it, but Webster's is something goblin mova or something. Google it. It's the craziest thing you ever saw. I have no idea why that would be considered the word of the year, but apparently it is, according to Webster's. Figure out what your word for the year might be, and know that you don't have to keep it for the whole year. You're allowed to change your mind. So I sat with it for a while and tried to figure out what my word for the year was going to be. And I haven't quite got there. I thought enthusiasm, but I think I maybe had thought that was a good one for last year, and then amplify. But none of them are yet sitting. So I will let you know what my word for the year will be when I figure it out. And then you can go on Canva and make a fancy little collage of your word of the year, put it on your phone screen. You can write it into affirmations, put it on Post-it notes around the house, print it out, do a vision board of your word of the year. And for sure, I'd love to hear what your word of the year is. And of course, when we talked about resolutions, and I said that, I don't really want to make any resolutions, but the one thing that I want to look at is things that worked for me last year and didn't work for me. And one that didn't work for me is chasing the shiny objects. I put a lot of time, effort, energy, and money into shiny objects, things that were going to change my world. And they didn't. Now, they didn't hurt me, and they probably helped me, but they didn't change my world. So what I've come to the conclusion on that particular subject is you have to know yourself. Now, I'm going to tell you a story about knowing myself in just a moment. And you have to know what you need. So the other day I went on a master class or a presentation webinar, and it was about an hour, about 2.5 hours long. And it was amazing. And it was going to be the game changer of my life. And as I sat there in that moment, in that hype, and listened to the program, and then listened to the deal and the offer and all the bonuses, and it was going to end at midnight. And if I didn't buy right now, I was going to lose all of that. I was this close to frickin' paying for it. And then I was like, no, you promised yourself that you would sit on these things at least a little while before deciding. Excuse me. Because 9 times out of 10, the deal's still there tomorrow. 9 times out of 10. And if it was meant to be, it will be. After I walked away from that, did I feel that I'd really missed out? No, I was damn proud of myself. I felt like I had beat the dragon. I won that battle. Was it a great program? Potentially, yes. Was there anything that I could have learned? Probably a ton. Is it something I need right now? Not at all. I have enough on my plate. So I'm sharing that with you in that so often we get so caught up, and then we worry about what we're missing, the FOMO, or we worry about needing more, and then we just swamp ourselves. So that being said, another program that I'd signed up for a couple of years ago, and this was a big lesson for me, and I was saying that it was a phenomenal, I'm sure it was a phenomenal program, and it was a phenomenal price, very expensive. And it just didn't work for me. And at the time I was at a conference and I was speaking to one of the ladies, Meadow actually, and she said to me, Colleen, they are just not your people. So it was like a fancy city, glitz and glamour style program. And I'm the backyard gardener. I'm in there with my own paws, getting dirty, you know? So it just wasn't my people. And that's it, nothing wrong with the program. It just wasn't what resonated with me. So things that did work for me was the money archetype. It's a Denise Duffield Thomas program. It was developed by Kendall Summerhawk. And that I've had done it before about 4 years ago, and she redid it this past year. And I, of course, am a lifetime member now. And I really kind of dove into it and did it. And what that program does for me is it shows me how to work with my natural personality traits. I deal with who I actually am. Instead of trying to put the round peg in the square hole, I'm able to take where my strengths are and learn how to use that in my own life and in my business. Huge game changer for me. And another thing that works for me, and I dropped the ball on it again, and I brought it back into my life here recently, are the elements, the business elements by Amber Net. And that's just recognizing your cycle. So much like a menstrual cycle, but it's your element cycle. So when you're in air, earth, water, fire, and then what you should be doing in terms of your energy and how much energy you have. It's using your energy, using the elements to work within your energetic fields. Works awesome. And then the other thing that worked for me is sitting on it before deciding. And that was probably my biggest proud moment. Like I said, I'd love to hear what your proud moments are. Then the other thing that I've been trying, and I'm still trying, but I'm working at it, is meeting with your future self. You can do it through meditation, you can do it through vision boards, but the whole thing is to meet with your future self, whether it's 1 year away, 3 years away, or 5 years away. What do you want? What do you desire? How do you want it to look? Right down to the color of the teapot, if you want to go that far, is really, really dial in. Then meet with your future self and have a little chat, and you actually will be surprised how much advice your future self can give you if you let that conversation take place. It's fun, it's scary, but it definitely is, it's an adventure. I really, really recommend it. So with 2023 just around the corner, I don't have any big advice. Be who you want to be, do what you want to do, well, within the law, of course, and really, really jump on this surfboard of life and ride it. We've spent too long living in the shadows. We've spent too long not speaking our truth. I don't mean hurt people by speaking out. I mean, what's your truth? My truth is to be who I am, not unapologetically. I mean, I'm not being mean or rude, but to really be who I am, to not pretend. Like, don't have 5 masks, you know? Wear your mask and wear it proudly. Take some advice from Dolly Parton even. She does not apologize for who she is or how she presents or her persona. As she says, it takes a lot of money to look this cheap. And that's true. She has, and she lives. And as far as I know, I don't know her personally. Who the hell am I to be saying that she lives her life? But I believe she does. So that's good enough for me. So as we wrap up today, I would like, if you were interested, excuse me, to book a complimentary connection call with me on my website. It's at ColleenBruceCoaching.com, and jump on, book a complimentary connection call, and let's help you gain some clarity and start on your path. Half an hour with me and you will come away with at least one action plan, and we'll go from there. I'd love to see you. Love to meet you. Take care. See you next week.